Hey, everybody. Jason Jakubowski, President and CEO of Foodshare and Connecticut Food Bank. Thank you all for coming out here today. We appreciate it. There's really two purposes to what we're doing here today. First is to make an important announcement about food distribution for the summer months here in the state of Connecticut. The second is to thank our federal delegation and Governor Lamont and Lieutenant Governor Byshowitz and Commissioner Hurlburt for helping to dedicate some of that American Rescue Plan funds to what we're looking to do over here over the next couple of months. The Biden administration announced a few weeks ago that the Farmers to Family Food Box program would be ending at the end of May. Those are actually the Farmer to Family Food Boxes over there. That's not a bad thing. That means that we're recovering. That means that we are coming out of this pandemic. It means we're getting ready to go back to some semblance of normal. In talking with Commissioner Hurlburt and others, though, we realized that this program would be ending at the end of May. Right before the three most difficult months for food insecurity here in the state of Connecticut and, quite frankly, across the country. The summer is a very difficult time for a lot of families, particularly with children out of school, and you see hunger spiking across not just the state, but across the entire country. And we figured we wanted to make sure that we did something in order to continue this program. So we're announcing today that we're going to be continuing our emergency drive-through distributions in the months of June, July, and August. We will be in all corners of Connecticut. We will be in every congressional district in Connecticut. I know Monica has a schedule here that we'll send out to all of you, but we will continue to stay here in Norwich on Mondays. And Mayor, we appreciate you and your support and the town support. On Tuesdays, we'll be in East Hartford, not at Rentschler Field, but at the old Showcase Cinema. On Wednesdays, we'll be in Norwalk. Thursdays, we'll be in West Haven and in Bristol. And on Saturdays, we will be in Putnam, Torrington, Bridgeport, and Winstead. And these will all run through August 31st. So the other thing that we need to make clear to people is that these distributions will end at the end of August. They were never designed to be permanent. They are not the most efficient way of providing food to people. They worked very well during this pandemic, but they are going to end at the end of August. So we're giving everybody basically 90 days worth of notice so that they are aware of the fact that they can go find where their local pantry is, where their local mobile site is, and figure out other ways in order to help utilize our services. Again, I cannot thank our delegation and the state of Connecticut enough. These are expensive distributions. This is not a cost-effective way of doing food distribution. Through the American Rescue Plan, our members of our delegation and President Biden have brought a significant amount of money back here to Connecticut. And again, we thank the state for helping us, for providing $750,000 to helping us do this. The state is paying for about 70% of these distributions over the summer. Our very generous contributors are contributing the other 30%. So very happy to have all of you guys here. Dom, Christian, and their team are fantastic. They're the brains behind the operation here, and we're really excited. Lieutenant Governor.
Jason, thank you so much. You have been incredible. Food Bank, Foodshare has stepped up in such a huge way to address the incredible needs that we've seen in our state over the course of the pandemic. So we want to thank Food Bank and Foodshare and all the amazing volunteers who have made this happen. I also want to say thank you to our fairy godfathers of federal funding, Senator Blumenthal and Representative Courtney, because they have been incredible. And our fairy godmother of federal funding, Rosa DeLauro, has just been a champion, not just for the people of Connecticut, but for the people of our country. This summer program is critical because in our state, we know that 428,000 people across our state struggle with hunger, and that's 118,000 children that are hungry. And so we need programs like this one, and we are very pleased to be able to provide state funding for this summer. And the governor and I have proposed to the legislature to spend an additional $2 million, $1 million in 2022, and another $1 million in 2023 to keep these kinds of programs going so that no family in our state is hungry. And it's really important, too, for our state because we know that 132,000 people are still unemployed. And this is a hard time with that high level of unemployment and schools ending in June. There are a lot of nutrition programs available through schools, and some children may be hungry if we don't have programs like this one to keep families safe and with the food that they need. So I just want to also give a shout out to our Ag Commissioner, who's been just a champion of making sure that the farmers of Connecticut are able to participate in the food box programs. So many families have benefited from the fresh produce, as have the farmers of our state. So we really appreciate all that our Agriculture Commissioner has done, and he's also been coordinating efforts from around our state to make sure that no one in our beautiful state is hungry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I just want to say one thing about all of the people standing here. This is not just a one-time thing for them. They have been out at these sites continuously throughout the pandemic, handing out food, and it's humbling to see you guys out here helping. It's a little warmer than last time we were out here, Joe, at this site. But Senator Blumenthal.
Thank you. First, I just want to thank all of Foodshare. They have been so phenomenal. You know, one of the most moving moments of this last year was the day before Thanksgiving when I went to Rentschler Field and saw the lines of people the day before Thanksgiving waiting in line for turkeys, which they wouldn't otherwise have without Foodshare. The dimensions of hunger in Connecticut are absolutely heartbreaking. They're stunning. When you think of the lines of people waiting for food at these sites all around the state, it simply belies the notion that we are fully recovered economically. The stark fact is hunger afflicts thousands and thousands of children and families, even as hope and renewal appear on the horizon, and the economy recovers. And the federal government has decided it has zero tolerance for hunger in America. That's the reason that the American Rescue Plan is providing billions of dollars to combat food insecurity, and $250,000 of those dollars are going to Foodshare for sites like this one in Connecticut through the summer, through the time when our economy continues to recover. The reason that it's recovering and the reason that we're all standing here without masks is vaccination. And how wonderful that this site is right next to a vaccination site. Combating hunger means combating the pandemic, which means vaccinations for everyone, and Norwich is providing a model of how to do it by putting that vaccination site right next to the food distribution place. I want to thank Norwich, and particularly the mayor, who has been here, by the way, I think every day that they live under the tree. Every Monday. He's not homeless. Thought of that one. But he's been so steadfast in this mission. And the takeaway here is, let's combat hunger, let's get vaccinated. We can really make Connecticut food secure for those children who right now are going to bed every night without all the nutrition they need. And just one last point. If you want to see hunger, come to these sites, because otherwise it's going to be invisible to you. All these numbers, statistics are stunning, but more dramatic is the picture, and it's worth 1,000 words, of people lining up. They've never asked for help before. Hunger is largely invisible until you see it at these food lines. And that is so heartbreaking, to think of all the children who are going without what they need. So I want to thank all of our delegation. We work together. Rosa DeLaura, my colleague Chris Murphy, and a great champion of food security, Joe Courtney, who's been working hard at this problem as well. We are strongly united.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you to you and Senator Murphy. And we thank our entire House delegation, Representatives Larson, DeLauro, Himes, and Hayes. But we're here in Eastern Connecticut, the home of the great Joe Courtney. So go for it, Joe.
Thank you, Jacob. And I was thinking, last time we were here, we had a lot more layers on that day. It was frozen. It was in January, and again, as we've seen here in the backdrop, I mean, the traffic is still steady, and it actually more powerfully than any words demonstrates that we've got more work to do. When the rescue plan was signed into law by President Biden on March 11th, it was a very close vote in both chambers, and it was one of the most contentious issues was whether or not to include state and local funding. There was a lot of folks who were claiming that was just a pension bailout. The fact of the matter is what we're seeing here today, that the opposite is true. The rescue plan giving the state of Connecticut $2.8 billion and plenty of discretion, focused, as the Treasury guidance stated, in terms of addressing COVID-related impact to communities, gave Governor Lamont and Lieutenant Governor Bicewicz the ability to funnel funds so that what's happening here today, in fact, could occur. And one point that Susan pointed out, which I think is worth mentioning, is that the funding actually runs out through 2024. So this is not a use it or lose it. It's got to get all done in 6 months. We're giving the states and also local communities, because Norwich actually got $20 million of new funding through the rescue plan, and again with a 2024 window to figure out ways that these communities, which took hits in ways that were just completely unexpected and unprecedented, the ability to again get this country recovered and moving forward as fast as possible. So again, I want to just thank the really smart, focused way that the state, given this opportunity, targeted these funds exactly the way it was intended by those of us who voted for the bill. And frankly, it's very exciting for us to actually get out of the chambers in Washington and see it on the ground, happening in real time and in real life. I also would just note, as was said by Susan, we have a great Commissioner of Agriculture, Brian Herbert, who, again, has been getting the word out that the COVID relief bills also extended and expanded EBT availability, the electronic benefit transfer for SNAP, and opportunities at farmers markets, which in Eastern Connecticut are now about to come back to life as well. And by giving people a larger EBT benefit, that is going to strengthen the economic situation for farmers who, again, have customers that just basically disappeared last year in terms of the farmer market participants. I mean, a lot of farmer markets just basically weren't held. There's more help coming from the rescue plan, as Brian can talk about. And again, we look forward to working with the state of Connecticut to make sure that the intent of this law, which was passed, within the first month and a half or 2 months of the administration, gets to the farthest, most impactful places that the state of Connecticut possibly needs. Because at the end of the day, that means that we're going to recover from this just unprecedented event as quickly as possible and get people's lives back in place. So thank you again to Jacob and his team for really, following what was, the country's intent in terms of making sure that the help gets where it's needed.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Appreciate you hosting us here in the 2nd Congressional District. To introduce Commissioner Hurlburt, I just want to say, Brian Hurlburt's been our partner in crime over the last year in helping to fight food insecurity here in Connecticut. If there's anybody, he and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about, hey, what were we going to do when the Farmer to Family Food Program ran out, and we thankfully came up with this, thanks to the funding that has been provided to us. So, Commissioner.
Thank you, Jason. A year ago, if you said that we're going to spend this much time in parking lots,
we spent a lot of time in parking lots.
We spent a lot of time in parking lots, but for good reasons, and really want to thank Food Bank Foodshare for recognizing the continued need, the continued challenges, and being creative about their solutions. Their volunteers, their staff who have been doing this without fail, without break for over a year now. But also, I think the highlight who's here today. We've got the local government, we've got nonprofits, we've got the state government, we've got the federal government. This has been an all-hands-on-deck approach to COVID, to making sure that the basic needs of Connecticut residents are taken care of. Governor Lamont, Lieutenant Governor Bicewicz, making sure that there's money to continue the effort to provide food. I think it's due that we give a shout out to our friends at the Department of Social Services and the State Department of Education. We've over doubled the amount of SNAP that's being invested in Connecticut families over the past year. Not only does that mean that there's more food for those families to put on their table, but that means there's more money going into our grocery stores, into our supermarkets, and to the economy to help those businesses deal with the pandemic. The State Department of Education at one point had over 450 mobile feeding sites across the state, working with the local districts and the local school nutrition program providers to make sure that people had access to food and finding ways to be flexible about it so you could take home food for multiple days for multiple family members. This framework and the fabric of what we're doing here is to alleviate the most and hardest needs that COVID has faced us. We recognize that there will be a tail on this. We're going to try to accommodate it. These events, additional dollars, make it a little bit easier for those families in need. If you still have a need, the easiest thing to do is call 211 and let them direct you to where you can get that need addressed, whether it be food or housing or a vaccination site. They're great partners, another nonprofit partner stepping up to do this. As the Congressman mentioned, the farmers markets are coming back. We're going to be releasing our farmers market nutrition programs for WIC and seniors. And we as an administration are increasing the allotment this year to make sure that people have more purchasing power to take there. We're trying to increase the number of farmers markets that do SNAP doubling so that people can use their limited SNAP dollars and get twice as much food at a local farmers market. Great for them, great for the farmer. These are the sorts of innovative things that we're going to be doing over the course of this pandemic to make sure that Connecticut residents emerge stronger and better taken care of than they were before the pandemic. And so it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Jason, and your team for making sure that these things will continue during the hardest period of the year. And I'm just so glad that we have such a partnership across all sorts of silos and organizations to be an all-hands-on-deck approach to the pandemic.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And as the Commissioner mentioned, this is all layers of government coming together and working together in all of the different sites that I mentioned that we'll be at throughout the summer months. The first place we always go to is City Hall, the Mayor's office. We've had great relationships with Mayor Rilling down in Norwalk, with Mayor LeClaire in East Hartford, with Mayor Bronin in Hartford. And if I don't stop, I'm going to start forgetting one of the 169 around there. But Mayor Pete Nystrom has been terrific to us here in Norwich, and again, not just in helping us get this site, but lugging boxes every single Monday. So, Mayor, thanks for having us here. Go right ahead.
First, I want to welcome the Commissioner. It's our first meeting. I look forward to you coming back. Our federal legislators and our Lieutenant Governor, they're no strangers to this part of the state. They're here all the time, and I'm grateful for the attention they give to our people and the concern they show very much. I want to give a shout out to Massachusetts Nation. When I spoke with Rodney Butler back in the beginning of January, he didn't hesitate to provide this site for this use. And that's been the example that he's given every call I've made to him, including setting up the vaccine clinics here. And they do go hand in hand, as was pointed out by our senator. It's a natural marriage, if you will, food and public health. So I'm hoping we'll be able to do some more of these. I would like to let the public know Memorial Day, this site is closed next Monday, but we're back up and running again after that, as they said, right through August. And in Norwich, with the federal dollars, I just spoke with Congressman Courtney. I'm talking with our city manager to see what we can contribute to this cause directly as well from the local level, because I think that's our responsibility here as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And that's what we have. You guys have any questions or anything for any of us?
Yeah, how many people have been helped with this site in Norwich? And can you give any stats for the volume of people you've helped with the pandemic?
Those are some pretty big numbers. But this particular site sees about 800 people every single week, and we've been here for, you're gonna make me do the math. I mean, we've been here for at least 20 weeks or so since January, and then actually here in November before that. So probably about 16,000 cars have come through this particular this particular site, and this is just one. In terms of in total, and we're talking about a number of cars that have gone through all of our sites. We're approaching 1 million across the state of Connecticut. And in terms of the number of, for example, just at Rentschler Field alone, we had distributed nearly 8 million pounds. What? 10? 9 mil? Okay, nearly 9 million pounds of food just at that one site, not including the rest of the ones around here. So the numbers are huge and they're staggering.
The $750,000.
Yep.
Is that from the state or is that the entire effort?
No, it is. It's from the federal government through the state of Connecticut. The entire cost ends up being about $1.2 million. So, like I said, the balance of that is being offset by our very generous contributors over at Connecticut Food Bank and Foodshare. We're expecting we have enough food for 1,000 cars for every one of these distributions throughout the summer. So again, if you do that out, Dom, what's that? How many cars are we expected through the whole summer there? So about 70 to 75,000 cars we expect. 75,000 families we'll see during the year.
And what do you have to say to those families when they tune in here? It's going to be extended, but they have that August.
Yep.
What do you want the families to do?
We want families to know that, again, this is here to help, but it's not here forever. And we really implore families to look at what local options are available. Connecticut Food Bank and Foodshare has 700 pantries across the state of Connecticut. We have more than 100 mobile sites, and every municipality here in the state of Connecticut has a social services component to its local government. And as the commissioner said, you have United Way info line 211. Those are all the resources people need to know and need to acknowledge and figure out exactly where they're going to go when these drive-thrus are over.
And lastly, I know you touched upon it when you were speaking, but if you could one more time emphasize the importance of this being expanded for the 3 months, what we know about what happens in Connecticut during those 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when the commissioner and I started talking about this a couple weeks ago, the idea that the farmers to food family boxes were going away at the end of May, that was kind of an abrupt end right before the 3 most difficult months for hunger here in the state of Connecticut. Often people aren't thinking about hunger in the summertime because a lot of people are out on vacation. A lot of people take time off of work. We don't have as many volunteers during the summer months, and obviously the program grows. Obviously, the problem grows significantly because you have every school child, many of whom are out of school during the summer here. So it is a major problem here, not just in Connecticut, but nationwide. So the idea of stopping these right before our busiest time of the year, in which there was the most need, did not seem prudent or humane. So that's why we were able to find the funding from the federal government and the state government to continue this through the 3 most difficult months of the year. Anything else?
Good job, Jason.
We're good? All right,
Thank
guys.
you for coming,
Thanks.
everybody.